I am going to now try the examination for Mercury, but I already had a little bit of a problem during the sequencer thing in that it didn't orient me retrograde properly. And of course, we had the crash pressing F2, but supposedly that's already fixed, so no problems there. So, Mercury Pilot certification. I've already done this before, that's why it's checkmarked. But it was a long time ago, and I've forgotten everything until just now when I had to do them all again. But no. I mean, I remember quite a bit of it, but it's still good to review things. You have to stay current in your pilotry, you know. Review things. If you haven't piloted something for a long time, it's good to review. But again, my goal with this is actually because I intend to design the procedures for my own spacecraft. So my own designs, I'm going to have the procedures listed and the cockpit layouts and everything. So in that, but there's really only one cockpit that everything shares. So I have to design that so that it's sort of modular like that. So that regardless of whether the spacecraft is doing one thing or another, the interactions will it'll all look the same basically. So that's the goal, but that's a complicated goal to pull off since the spacecraft are all doing different things. But with our modern multifunction displays and all that, perhaps a little bit simpler than it would be back in the 1960s. But it takes some thought. Generally, I don't think there's any intention that people are going to be making spacecraft like that so that the interior is going to work regardless of whether you have something going to the moon or to Mars or stuff like that. But potentially SpaceX would think about that. Okay, so then we have a little, I guess they went up in this little yellow arm, huh? So I'm not even supposed to be in the capsule yet, right? I'm supposed to get into the capsule using that thing. Okay, back inside. Alright, so welcome to the pilot certification flight of Mercury Academy. Pilot certification flights are the Academy's examination. Successfully completing one awards you with the pilot certificate for the corresponding craft. Today's mission will take you into a suborbital flight with a splashdown. Oh, I wanted to do Atlas. Well, we'll do Atlas with the full John Glenn version. It is important to first check the mission pad, mission and briefing pages after you ingress into the cockpit. So let's get familiar with the briefing. So launch and achieve suborbital insertion. Insertion, really. I wouldn't even call a suborbital flight an insertion. Complete retrograde burn, reentry, and splashdown. Okay, well, that's easier. Okay, and then mission it says here. I can barely read that print. Okay. Alright, prepare the cockpit for launch using the final checks checklist. Use time scale if you want. So, let me start, well, full internal power, let's just do that. Let me just add that, and I'm gonna add the final checks after it. How about that? Let's just do it like that. Since we have that. Okay, so we are not at T-minus 10 yet. Let's go there. Request full internal power. We do that with this thing. Okay, so having requested full internal power, we saw the volts go up and the DC amps, so let's just check all our batteries. And the isolated batteries on norm and standby batteries off. Yep. Okay, and I just did that. Then we can go to T-5. Okay, launch ready. Form radio test on UHF. I like high power. Okay. Cover removed on time 0. And then battery 1. Arm squib. Arm auto retro jettison. And then we're ready.
9, 8, 7, 6,
Okay, lift off, but why is the 5 minutes retrograde light on?
Yes, sir. Reading you loud and clear.
Okay, we are going up. Cabin pressure is going down. Oxygen is holding. Our batteries are as expected. G-forces are climbing. We're pointed up. They said every 30 seconds on those. Okay, we're getting to max altitude on that. Got about 30 seconds left. The cabin pressure is 5.5 now, yep. Cycle through these again. Okay.
Cut off. Tower jettison green.
Yep. Tower jettison is in fact green. Let's get some checklists here.
Cap step is green.
We have separated, so we should get the orbit checklist. So DC selector main, landing bag off. We can turn off the auto retro. Landing bag, oh, that landing bag off. Okay, the fuse, we turn off for that. And drogue deploy. And actually there was the retro jettison fuse that we can turn off here. I'll have to remember to turn it on again. I don't know why the 5 minutes retrograde light is still on though. But that's why the retro time is set like that. There's a suborbital flight, so we don't have a retrograde time. We're just coming right back down. Retro is only a couple of minutes away. Maybe I shouldn't turn everything off. Okay, let's do the prepare retro checklist. Yeah. Okay. Suit temp. Well, we won't be getting... Well, hopefully we won't be getting that hot, but let's just set it. Okay, well, we're definitely less than 15 minutes too. Okay, so I just turned off those fuses, but it's just good policy. It doesn't actually mention that we should have this, but that should be on too. Maintain retro attitude, auto or manual. Apparently, that switch is not a thing, but maybe it should be a thing because it wasn't pointing in the right direction before. Where might that switch be? Okay, well, retro checklist. Oh no, I need you. Okay. That is retro warning. Okay, and those things are green. Retro sequence, retro attitude. Fire retro is prepared and it's firing. That seems like an interesting... I swear. Well, I mean, it'll do the trick, but it's not the way I would like to be pointed. It is pointing us towards the cape, which is correct, so that's fine. Okay, retro fire. Okay, so jettison. Reentry. Okay, so we armed that stuff after retro jettison. Well, it's thinking about it. Hopefully it'll do it at some point. Okay, it did it. Alright, so that, yes, then we go to reentry, and hopefully it'll actually orient properly this time. If it is, we'll be pointing nose up to space. Okay, and then we wait for the right pressure, 0.05. So we're like this right now, which is fine. That's not gonna cause problems. So we're starting to roll here, which we're supposed to. And the 0.05 Gs is on. So that's fine. We are indicating the roll. So it's doing the right thing this time. So after this, I'll attempt the orbital mission, since this is just a suborbital one. They really should give you a test on the orbital mission, darn it. It's a bit more challenging. Okay, we've got reentry heat. It automatically snaps to retrograde at a certain point, which is interesting, but that's probably because we get below 100,000 feet. Okay, so emergency drogue deploy true. Waiting for the drogue at altitude. Pressure is practically up to normal. Guess we should go through these. Not super important anymore. Okay, drogue's out. Okay, that's the O2 thing. Well, I'll put that in. Emergency O2 handle out. Landing bag auto. And then at 10,000 feet we should get the main. Hopefully the light will actually... Maybe this doesn't have a light. Maybe that's why it's gray like that. Because this one actually starts out like that. So that's fine. Okay. That's because of the fuel dump. Main shoot. This time I won't try to change the view at all. Okay, receive and transmit on UHF. And pressure regulator handle. We've got the landing bag. And we will wait. AC bus off. We can't time warp right now. So it's a long descent. Well, I guess the temperature isn't too bad. 5,000 feet. Really, I can't time warp? Maybe I can risk going into the external view. So there we are again with the little float bag at the bottom and the carrier. Do we even need a carrier? We're like right off from Cape Canaveral. Surely they can just send a helicopter over. Well, probably it's too far. We're almost down. Retract telescope. I mean, not telescope. Periscope. Okay, we're about to splash down. We have splashed down. I have successfully got my Mercury pilot certification thing, hopefully.